Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, Eco Nostalgia here, and it's been a while since we've talked about Pantheon here on the channel. Things have been kind of slow on the Pantheon front, and I've been really busy lately. You guys have probably noticed that the uploads, they've slowed down to about one a week. That's something that unfortunately I really can't avoid, guys. Things have just picked up around here. I'm a lot busier than I was before, and I actually scored myself a new job, so that's awesome. But we're not going to get into my personal life. That's not why you guys are here. I just figure I owe some of my subs an explanation as to why things have slowed down. Nevertheless, it's Pantheon time, guys. Let's make some videos. I'm going to be doing 3 of these videos featuring 3 of the races. This week I'm going to be doing the Archai, the Dwarves, and the Dark Myr. If you're familiar with the official website, you'll note that I'm doing these in the order that they are presented there. If you have not checked out the website, I'm going to have it down in the description below. Lots of good information there, and you can also pledge there for access to the alpha, the beta, or just the base game when it does come out. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into this, but fair warning, I'm probably going to butcher the shit out of the names. So, on the Archai, on the spectrum of uniqueness, the Archai comes second only to their neighbor gnomes, but in a sharp contrast, the culture of Suroa is as vibrant and strong as the massive crystals and ores of its geology. Devout and sincere, Archai bodies manifest their environment, their ethereal energy, bonding with natural elements at a very young age. This permits the Archai to grow a bit larger than a human or elf, but not suffer in agility quite like an ogre. Loving celebration and battle almost equally, the Archai are positioned well to ascend in the frail age, should they choose. Now I should mention there are 2 sections for each one of the races. There's kind of like an about section, and then there's a tale section that kind of goes a little bit more into their story. So now we're moving on to the tale of the Archai, torn from the ancient crystalline planet of Roa. The Archai were originally created from another race of pure, magical energy called the Eowyn. These innocent beings were tragically deconstructed and recomposed by the vile followers of Roa's dark celestial lord and bred as a nation of slaves. Thus were born the Archai, a name bestowed by their similarly oppressed alchemic builders to honor the lost lineage of their ancestor Eowyn. This desecration wrought the new race with unique abilities, however. Archai were able to graft in the elemental nature from the region of Roa where their life of slavery would begin. When water, fire, wind, or any mineral is infused into the young Archai, their weaker arcane core acclimates according to those inherent properties. These manifest in magnificent, open striations, markings, and textures, whether of flame, liquid, heavy vapors, or even precious metals and minerals. This election takes place in the childhood of the Archai in a devout ceremony called True Birth. Yet the Archai heritage is not one of enslavement, but valor, uprising, and celebration. On Roa, they waged a clandestine war of liberation, billowing into a nation of indomitable warriors and overthrowing their captors to utter defeat long ago. On Terminus, they are renowned for their culture of endurance, poise, and intrepidness, as well as a robust legacy of jubilation, song, and display. They are said to entice danger like sport, while their people thrive on the wildly diverse island realm of Suroa, which means little home. My thoughts on this race is that they look really badass. When I first saw them and didn't know anything about them, I assumed that they were going to be evil. But evidently they're not. They sound like they're a very happy people for a people that have been torn apart and kind of Frankensteined. And that's really interesting, the way that they can take all these different elements and infuse them into themselves from birth. I don't know if that means we're going to be able to do something like that when we create them. It would be really awesome if we could. I'm thinking that maybe they might have a racial passive that you can kind of swap out. Maybe you can customize them to fit whatever class you plan on playing. I'm not certain how it's going to work, but nevertheless, they sound really awesome. Next up, we have the Dwarves, one of my personal favorite races of all time. For the good of his people, the Dwarven king Kazis sacrificed his immortality to rule among them in the wintry fortress of Kadasa. This selflessness is a crown virtue of the Dwarven race, and to have one as a friend is worth more than several lifetimes of fortune. Believing peace is a product of strength, the Dwarves seek not an empire, but to increase their mastery in smithing, the arcane as well as battle. Their compact form is rarely mistaken for lumbering stiffness, as their reputation in all types of conflict is widely established. Few races can so intimately trace history back to the moment of their creation. Yet so few gods were like Kazis of Aldasa, and so few races show the fealty of his dwarves. Such ancestry exists in some number, but no other creation has remained so united with their creator as the dwarves are to their king. And no other celestial has so stewarded their creation as he, forsaking even his own immortality to lead them as their king. But there existed an old great rift in the triumvirate of three, the ruling pantheon of the dwarves. Razik, called the Rageful, longed to vie against Khazis, though order was ever preserved under the care of Lock, Ein, and Hammer. These three were endowed with neutrality and upheld the Edict of Balance, which forbid any contest within the Pantheon, neither good destroying evil or evil destroying good. Under this decree, Khazis forged the dwarves and blessed them with much of his own character, fashioning their frames with deep strength and their minds with keen perception. Thus, throughout Aldasa, the dwarves flourished, and there were no rivals alongside them. But Razik's jealousy attended their every triumph like a shadow, ever frustrated when seeking to twist them against Khazis, and his hate aged unquenchable. Of the many new inhabitants of Terminus, it is believed the dwarves were the first to arrive during the Age of Isolation. They quickly established a foothold in their southern tundra, naming the area Kadasa, meaning Khazis Reach, after their king. In the same manner he had originally formed the dwarves, Khazis taught them how to perfectly fuse ice and stone, creating a peerless material in strength and beauty known as Koldark steel, unbreakable yet able to be cut thin enough to wear as fabric. With it they built their magnificent Aldasan citadel in the heart of Kadasa. From that beacon, their legacy as champions, mystics, artisans, storytellers, and unfailing companions has flourished. Unbaited by the storms of change that roll across the planet, yet there dwells a hidden terror in their story, one whom even Khazis himself would not dare approach. So as I said, dwarves have always been a favorite race of mine in RPGs and MMORPGs. Anything high fantasy have always been a favorite. So the story in this, for them, it seems very straightforward. I do like the fact that their pantheon is ruling alongside them. I don't think they're as interesting as the other races in the game, but they don't really have to be. They're very traditional. That's the dwarven way, right? Tradition, loyalty, I'm getting that vibe. It's very Tolkien-esque in that way. The fact that they talk about a hidden terror in their story kind of reminds me of, dwarves digging too deep and unleashing something that they might not be able to handle. You guys know where I'm going with that if you're Tolkien fans. But yes, very traditional. I'm perfectly okay with that. And now on to the third and final race of this video. Again, I will be making 2 follow-up videos covering all of these races, so if you guys are enjoying that, hit the subscribe button. We're going to be talking about the Dark Myr right now. Out of their own way, the Dark Myr of Sirenai would perhaps become a contemporary of Thronefast, even its chief rival. But their native beauty, valor, and nobility have rusted down to bitter ornaments. A vast disdain for other races lurks beneath their tranquil surface, calling none friend and few honored as foe. Their ferocity in battle is as ancient as their heralded origin, while their tall, slender form and ghostly eyes cast an unmistakable presence. Dark Myr ambitions are a pregnant mystery, their kingdom quietly advancing on land and sea. The Myr hail from the planet of Azul, the race born at a time when her oceans were dying. Wars between ancient leviathans had erupted beneath the waves, and battles so fierce even kingdoms on land were destroyed. But the gods of Azul did not stop the calamity, fighting with each other instead of giving aid. At last, one humble goddess named Sirenai begged the spirit of Azul for answers. Manifesting herself in the depths, Azul gave Sirenai a sacred gift, power to bring forth a single new creation. With this gift, Sirenai fashioned the Myr, a race with kingly hearts and furious might. The Myr struck against the Leviathans with abandon, breaking them from war and driving the terrors back into their abysses. With the oceans liberated, the gods came together to bless and rule over the Myr. Songs beneath the sea declared that the Myr carried the heartbeat of Azul herself, and the race flourished under a unified pantheon. Yet of all the gods, Sirenai remained their first love. In the chaos of their arrival, the Myr were poured into Terminus's lush seas, but the water worked through their bodies like poison, and they could not breathe in it. In an attempt to save the race, Nithir, the god of battle, sacrificed his body, which was composed of Azul's native seas, creating a breathable sphere of water within the ocean. Such a mighty gift, yet tragically fleeting, as the waters soon mixed again. Even so, Nethyr's closest followers would not move a fin or flinch muscle. Though they drown, their allegiance would not succumb. With her people still in harm's way, Sirenai rushed to help the Mer, concentrating her power to transform and adapt their bodies she had created long ago. Yet mysteriously her aid was kept at bay. Sickened with grief as she watched her people perishing, the brave goddess gambled on another, more perilous chance, leveraging the essence of her immortality to recreate the Mer anew, even giving them a lung by which to breathe on land and legs with which to walk. In a brilliant moment of sacrifice, the miraculous exchange saved the Mer, transforming them forever. But as the exhausted High Mortal collapsed on the shore of Terminus, the crisis she averted wrought a fate far worse. Many say the cries of anguish loosed that day still linger in the murky waters. The agony of losing Sirenai poisoned the Mer hearts, as had the deadly oceans. Sorrow twisting into bitterness, then hate, until darkness consumed them. The Netherian Red disappeared into the sea, searching for the means to return to true Mer form. Their brethren were left to pick up the fragments of their past, hoping to fuse them into a future. Yet the fateful day of their arrival is marked by mourning, 1 week prior and 1 week after. Among the ceremony is a reading from the Day of Testimonies, a collection of witness accounts to the lamentable day. Yet there is one creature they blame all things upon, a villain greater than the Netherian Red, whose vicious actions they rank better than none at all. In the present frail age, the Dark Mer are seeking to claim the old glories of Azul. They have subdued their realm of the ocean and built a glorious city in honor of Sirenai. Yet beneath the surface of splendor, there is an unsettling current that runs through the deep places, where the Dark Mer have descended like the ancient Leviathans they were born to destroy. Very interesting race, the Dark Mer, but at the same time very traditional if you know what to look for. They're pretty much dark elves, the way that they kind of splinter off and then they start to go down a dark path. It's very much traditional in that way. But I do like that, and I like the fact that they can swim as well as go on land. That's obviously going to be something that is a benefit of playing as one of them in the game. You're going to be able to swim, and there's probably going to be underwater dungeons and things that you need to do. I mean, yeah, you can have somebody make you a potion, you know, maybe hire an alchemist to make a potion or whatever, so you can breathe underwater for 30 minutes at a time or whatever. But it's still nice to have a race that can swim. Maybe they can go faster, maybe they level up quicker with their swimming abilities and things like that. Very interesting race, but once again, I have to point out, they're pretty much dark elves with fins. That's pretty much what they are. But it still is interesting. It's a nice spin that they've put on it. So there you have it, folks. Those are the first 3 races. Again, I'm going to repeat, I will be covering all of these. That's if this video gets traction. If it has like 300 views, then I'm going to be like, oh, well, obviously they don't give a shit, so I'm not going to continue. I'm not going to follow up. So if you like this, like it, share it with your friends. Hit the subscribe button if it's your first time here. I will be covering Pantheon for a long time to come. Right now, I want to kick it over to you guys. What do you think of these races? Let me know down in the comment section below. I thank you all for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in my next video.